So, um, yeah, the days have been okay. There's been a lot of thoughts going through my mind, and, you know, I think it's healthy to get to a place where you're willing to let go of someone, whether or not it's the will of the Father for your life to be with that person. But golly, letting go is so tough. And I came across a verse in I think it's First Kings, or is it Second Kings? Anyway, and it says, it's amplified version, so it's amplified, so it's the amplified portion in square brackets, but it says Israel was like two little goats compared to a large flock when they were gonna go to war against, I forget who, but someplace. And then in square brackets it says they had nothing except God. So this reminded me of other verses that have been in the Bible that I don't know the exact verse, but verses like, if God is for you, who could be against you? Or other things that talk about how if God has called for something to come to pass, that is assurance in itself, that if you have the word of the Lord, then you have like all the backing that you need, because not by might nor by power. God does not use chariots. He doesn't depend on that or men's strength, but it's by the Spirit of the Lord. So what God has ordained, if you feel that God has spoken something to you, you can rest assured that it's going to stand. And even if so much is against you. So in this battle that the Israelites went out to, I guess they felt like extremely outnumbered. But they won because it was God who had said, who's backing them up. So in moments where I'm tempted, or today at least, when I was tempted to feel, because often when I think about letting go of someone, my mind envisions it as if I have messed something up and it's my fault, and I could have had something great and it was actually like gonna be a blessing, but now I, not the other person, I have messed it up, and now the other person's gonna be, they're gonna be totally fine, like super blessed, and I'm just gonna have to breathe in the waft of my mistakes in like a dingy place. Like I'm just gonna be sitting off to the side, just dwelling in some sort of shitty residue of guilt and of regret. So yeah, it's pretty gnarly, the sort of experiences, and actually talking about it also makes me like hear myself and think like that's extreme, because I think I also have to believe that God has something good for me, and I do believe that. It's just the mind keeps on trying to fight that. Anyway, so then when I was having this thought today, thinking, letting go, and what if I've made the wrong decision, and what if he actually ends up being with Paul ends up being with someone else, and then it makes me feel shitty, but then I was being more cognizant of the fact that my mind was going in that direction where it's just going to stir up feelings of anxiety. So I recalled the verse I read today about Israel having pretty much nothing except for God on their side. But that except for God is everything. So then I was envisioning myself like going off of that. I was thinking, okay, how can I remedy this thought? How can I, instead of falling into anxiety from this thought and feeling like guilt and regret, how can I, and instead of running away from it, so instead of dwelling in a negative sense in it, and instead of running away from it and not really confronting this thought, how can I confront this thought? Right? How can I actually confront this thought? Sit with this thought, not run away, but not let it overwhelm me. How can I do it? So then I was just like, okay, just allow my mind to just meditate on that. And then I thought, okay, I can say that God is for me. And at first I said God is with me. And then I said God is behind me, God is around me, and I was going through different things. But God is for me sat the best out of all those, because that means that God is not only with me, but He has something good for me. He wants something good for me. He's not gonna let me sit in the dingies. He has something good for me. So yeah. So sometimes if I feel like, maybe this is an encouragement, if you feel that you have a lot of thoughts coming at you and you're thinking that, like, you're scared, you can tell yourself, like, God is for you. And I don't really know how God may have guided you. So that's something that you have to check. Like, I don't want to lead anyone astray here, but I think we can be sure that if you are doing what you think God is prompting you to do, then in times of doubt, I think something I run back to is to tell yourself, well, I did what I thought was the best thing to do, what was the right thing to do given the situation. And in that, if that really is the case, like if I think that, I sought the Lord on a certain matter and I feel like this is what He has led me to do, then I can claim that God is for me, that He's on my side. And I'm not saying that means He's gonna battle. It's not like a battle against the other person like Paul. Not at all. I bless him a lot. It's more that when fear comes your way, and you think, self-condemnation, that you can remind yourself that, like, no, maybe I made the wrong choice, but I did what I thought I had to do, and God is for me. And then comes another part of, that whole thought of, okay, well, let's say that I made the wrong choice, or I misheard God. Will God redeem it? Will God, if God has a certain person for me, is it going to bring me back to that person? I used to always think yes, but then when you're in the situation, you're really confronted with... Oh, hold on. an ambulance driving by. Yeah, then I think you're confronted with, when I'm confronted with that, I realize that I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, like I'm explaining to you, like this is what I do. I doubt it. So time will tell, but either way, like God, if you think God is guiding you in something, God is for you. And even if you feel like you're overwhelmed by this mountain of emotion, if you feel like God put you there, God is for you. And a pastor at the church that I've been attending, he said that when you're going through a valley, scare off the devil by worshiping. Just worship, and he'll be like shocked and confused. That's what it was. Confuse the devil, because he'll be like, why are they worshiping? This is a valley. But if you just like worship, then yeah, right? So you're confusing the enemy. But I think worship is important. It's something I've just started doing just this year, worshiping through the valley, or trying to worship through the valley. It's the first time that I'm actually like trying to do that. Because there's a lot of things that we're going to go through in life that might feel shitty, but it doesn't mean, only because they feel shitty doesn't mean it really is shitty. It could actually be like a step in the direction of this huge blessing. So we cannot just be guided by what we think a situation is, because it can be so much more than that, and like in a very good, wholesome way. So anyway, that's it. Shalom.